In a world where emotions are currency, the Sigma male is the man who declared emotional bankruptcy and walked away rich. Here's a brutal fact. The nicest people often become the coldest. It's not because they lack a heart, it's because they once gave too much of it away. For Sigma males, this transformation isn't a dramatic movie montage, it's a slow, calculated evolution. They aren't born cold, they are sculpted into it, like ice forged under pressure. And here's the kicker. A Sigma male's journey to becoming cold-hearted doesn't start with cruelty. It starts with kindness. Kindness that was exploited, loyalty that was betrayed, and empathy that was used as a weapon against them. Think of it like a person who keeps lending their favorite book to people who never return it. Eventually they just stop sharing. But unlike the average person who builds walls, the Sigma male becomes a mirror, cold, reflective, and impossible to deceive. He doesn't broadcast his pain, he silences it. He doesn't chase revenge. He becomes the consequence. So how does a Sigma male evolve into this calculating, emotionally impenetrable force? You're about to find out. But be warned, this isn't a story of heartbreak. It's a blueprint for power. Number 1, embracing the reality of a cold world. A Sigma male doesn't become cold-hearted because he's naive. He becomes cold-hearted because he understands the brutal truth. The world is a cold place, and warmth is often seen as weakness. He isn't some tragic, broken soul hiding from life. He's a strategist who has learned that emotions are a double-edged sword. One side offers connection, but the other is a weapon others can use against him. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It begins with observation. He sees how people promise loyalty but disappear at the first sign of inconvenience. He watches as kindness is mistaken for desperation, silence for ignorance, and vulnerability for a target. He sees people who manipulate with a smile and betray with a hug. Slowly he begins to recognize that most are not as genuine as they claim to be. The world isn't a playground. It's a chessboard where every piece can be sacrificed, but the Sigma male's reaction isn't emotional. He doesn't lash out, become bitter, or seek revenge. He simply adjusts. He starts treating interactions like transactions, a value exchange where trust must be earned, not assumed. Compliments become noise, apologies become empty words, and flattery is nothing but camouflage for hidden motives. He listens, but he rarely believes. He observes, but he rarely reveals. His presence becomes like a mirror, reflecting back the true nature of those around him without ever showing his own cards. Some might call him cynical, but that's a misunderstanding. He isn't negative, he's just aware. He knows that in a world where most people wear masks, showing your true face is an invitation for exploitation. So he keeps his emotions in an iron grip, offering nothing that can be used against him. When people try to manipulate him, they find an impenetrable wall. When they try to guilt him, they're met with a blank stare. This isn't cruelty, it's clarity. A Sigma male understands that warmth, kindness, and trust are not things you give to everyone. They are reserved only for those who have earned them. To everyone else, he offers something colder, polite distance, quiet observation, and the silent promise that he cannot be played. Number 2, reprogramming empathy as an analytical tool. A Sigma male doesn't lose his ability to understand people. In fact, his empathy becomes sharper over time. But unlike most, he doesn't let that empathy guide his emotions. He uses it to guide his strategy. To him, understanding how someone feels is not an invitation to care. It's an opportunity to predict, manipulate, or protect himself. When he listens, he doesn't just hear words, he deciphers motives. Complaints become confessions, compliments become calculations, and apologies reveal leverage. He knows that behind every emotion is a hidden agenda, even if the person expressing it isn't aware of it themselves. His empathy isn't a bridge to connection, it's a scanner detecting insecurity, arrogance, fear, or ambition. This isn't cruelty, it's survival. The Sigma male understands that in a world full of hidden motives, the person who can read emotions without being swept away by them is a master strategist. He can predict how someone will react before they even realize it themselves. A smile isn't just a gesture, it's a negotiation tactic. A sigh isn't just frustration, it's a silent demand for attention. His cold-hearted nature isn't a lack of empathy, but a refined form of it. He doesn't rush to comfort someone crying. He first asks himself why they are crying and what they gain by being seen that way. He doesn't leap to defend someone who seems wronged. He assesses if they're a victim or a manipulator in disguise. When someone tries to guilt him, he recognizes the emotional bait and sidesteps it. When someone tries to flatter him, he knows they are trying to win favor. Even in relationships, he doesn't lose himself in affection. He watches, even while caring, to see if loyalty is real or a temporary performance. For a Sigma male, empathy is no longer a doorway to connection. It is a weapon, a shield, and a map, all at once. He understands people better than they understand themselves, but he never lets that understanding become an emotional chain around his own neck. Number 3, outgrowing attachment like an old skin. A Sigma male doesn't cling to people, places, or even ideas. Attachment to him is not a symbol of love or loyalty. It's a potential weakness, a chain waiting to be yanked. Unlike most, he doesn't fear loneliness. In fact, he embraces it, seeing it not as isolation, but as a purification process. It is where he can shed the dead weight of toxic people, false friendships, and meaningless connections. When someone reveals their true colors, disloyalty, manipulation, or simple mediocrity, a Sigma male doesn't fight to keep them. He doesn't plead, argue, or try to explain his worth. Instead, he lets them go with the same ease as taking off an old coat that no longer fits. His world doesn't collapse because someone leaves. It simply becomes quieter and sharper. This isn't bitterness, it's clarity. A Sigma male knows that not everyone who walks into his life deserves to stay. He has no interest in forced friendships, performative loyalty, or relationships built on convenience. The moment he senses insincerity, entitlement, or unnecessary drama, he begins the quiet process of detachment. He doesn't announce it, he doesn't make a scene, he simply fades, his silence louder than any argument. But this process isn't just about cutting off others, it's about refining himself. In solitude, he reclaims his time, energy, and focus. His thoughts become sharper, his goals clearer. He learns to enjoy his own company, finding strength in self-sufficiency. While others fear loneliness as a void, he sees it as a mirror, forcing him to confront his own ambitions, flaws, and desires without distraction. When he eventually interacts with others, he does so without desperation. He is polite but reserved, observant but unreadable. No one can easily claim his loyalty, and even fewer can earn his trust. People are no longer essential to his happiness. They are simply options. By outgrowing attachment like an old skin, a Sigma male doesn't become emotionless. He becomes selective. Only those who bring genuine value, loyalty, and authenticity are allowed into his life. The rest remain outside, left behind without drama, excuses, or regrets. Number 4, weaponizing ambiguity. A Sigma male is a master of controlled ambiguity. He understands that in a world obsessed with clarity and certainty, being unreadable is a superpower. He doesn't do this by being dishonest. He simply chooses not to reveal everything. His emotions are a locked vault, his thoughts are fog, and his intentions a shifting shadow. This isn't an accident, it's a calculated strategy. When someone asks how he feels, his answer is polite but vague, enough to seem honest but never enough to be truly understood. In conversations, he offers insights without ever making his personal stance obvious. When discussing plans, he speaks in possibilities, not promises. His actions are direct, but his motivations remain a puzzle. People think they know him, but they never quite do. This calculated ambiguity keeps others on edge. They second-guess his reactions, wonder what he truly thinks, and spend more time trying to decipher him than controlling him. Even those who believe they are close to him often realize they only see a reflection of their own assumptions. His silence is a blank canvas where others paint their own interpretations, but none of them are accurate. For a Sigma male, this mystery isn't just a defensive tactic, it's a form of power. When people don't know what you value, they can't manipulate you. When they don't know what you fear, they can't intimidate you. His unpredictability makes him a difficult target for emotional traps, guilt trips, or forced commitments. Those who try to emotionally manipulate him find themselves grasping at fog. Even in relationships, he maintains a certain level of mystery. His affection is genuine, but his thoughts are not an open book. He listens more than he speaks, observes more than he reveals. His partner may feel valued, but never entirely possessive of his mind. This doesn't mean he is dishonest or disloyal, it means he is sovereign, and the irony, the more people try to understand him, the more they become fascinated. His silence becomes a challenge, his calm a puzzle. But while they waste energy trying to decode him, he remains untouched, in full control of his narrative. His ambiguity is his armor, his weapon, and his most dangerous charm. Number 5. Emotional apathy as a strategic weapon. A Sigma male doesn't lack empathy. He masters it. He understands people deeply, often better than they understand themselves. But unlike most, he doesn't allow that understanding to become a chain around his neck. Instead, he learns to turn off his empathy like a switch, transforming it into a strategic weapon rather than a burden. This transformation isn't born from cruelty or bitterness, but from brutal experience. Time and again, he has seen how genuine emotions can be weaponized against him. His kindness was mistaken for weakness, his compassion exploited by manipulators, and his willingness to listen used as a dumping ground for other people's problems. He learned the hard way that in a world full of emotional predators, wearing his heart on his sleeve was an invitation to be bled dry. But unlike those who become bitter and resentful, a Sigma male takes a different path. He doesn't stop understanding people, he simply stops caring by default. When someone tells him a sob story, he listens, but his mind stays clear. He dissects the narrative, identifying manipulation, exaggeration, or hidden motives. Tears don't move him, anger doesn't intimidate him, and guilt doesn't sway him. He reads emotions like a skilled negotiator reads a contract, looking for the fine print and the hidden costs. This emotional apathy is not a mask, it's a shield. It allows him to navigate a world full of emotional traps without getting caught. If someone tries to guilt-trip him, they're met with a calm stare. If they try to provoke him, they find themselves shouting at a wall. He can sympathize without attaching himself, advise without investing, and walk away without remorse. But this doesn't mean he is heartless. Those who genuinely earn his trust see a different side, a loyal, thoughtful, and even caring person. But they are the exceptions, not the rule. For everyone else, his emotional apathy is a silent reminder that his mind is a fortress, and his heart is a locked room with no key. In a world where emotions are currency, the Sigma male is the man who keeps his wealth guarded. His emotional apathy isn't a flaw, it's a weapon, a defense mechanism that allows him to move through a manipulative world without becoming its victim. Number 6, exchanging innocence for cunning. A Sigma male's journey from innocence to cunning isn't a dramatic transformation. It's a quiet, calculated evolution. He doesn't start out suspicious of everyone. In fact, his initial nature might be trusting, even generous, because he believes in the value of honesty and loyalty. But the world has a way of educating those who think this way. And his lessons come through betrayal. When someone betrays him, whether it's a false friend, a manipulative partner, or a deceitful colleague, he doesn't respond with rage, tears, or dramatic confrontations. He doesn't beg for explanations or waste energy seeking closure. Instead, he studies the betrayal like a detective studies a crime scene. Every lie, every fake smile, every subtle manipulation is carefully noted and stored. His mind becomes a database of red flags and hidden motives. But this isn't just about remembering pain. It's about creating a survival manual. He mentally dissects the person who betrayed him, their habits, their excuses, their tactics. He identifies the signs he missed, the behaviors he ignored, and the moments when trust was weaponized against him. Each betrayal is transformed into a blueprint, a detailed map of deception that he can consult in the future. And he does consult it. When he meets new people, he silently compares them to the patterns he has memorized. A casual lie, a hint of flattery, an overplayed victim story. They all trigger silent alarms in his mind. He doesn't accuse or confront, he simply adjusts. His trust is withheld, his vulnerability locked away. He can charm, engage, and even appear friendly, but those who exhibit familiar warning signs are kept at a distance they never notice. But this cunning isn't just defensive, it also becomes a tool for strategy. Knowing how and why people betray helps him manipulate the manipulators, deceive the deceivers, and outthink those who believe they are clever. To most he appears calm, even a little distant. But beneath that calm is a mind that has already identified their weaknesses, predicted their moves, and planned his own. In the end, a Sigma male doesn't just survive betrayal, he evolves because of it. Innocence is traded for a sharp analytical awareness, and those who think they can fool him a second time never even see him coming. Number 7. Converting kindness into calculated indifference. A Sigma male doesn't abandon kindness, he refines it. In his early years, he might have been the type to help without hesitation, offer support without expecting anything in return, and give people the benefit of the doubt. But life has a ruthless way of educating those who give too easily. He learns that unearned kindness is often seen as a weakness, a free resource to be exploited by the selfish, the manipulative, and the ungrateful. But rather than becoming bitter or cruel, he becomes strategic. His kindness doesn't disappear, it simply transforms into a calculated tool. He still listens, helps, and supports, but only when it's deserved. Compliments aren't flattery, they are genuine acknowledgements given only to those who have earned his respect. Assistance is no longer a reflex, it's a conscious choice based on merit. To most people, his demeanor might seem polite but distant. He doesn't engage in emotional labor for strangers, doesn't waste time on pointless sympathy, and never allows himself to be emotionally blackmailed by guilt. If someone tries to manipulate him with tears, drama, or pity, they find a wall of quiet indifference. His kindness isn't a default setting, it's a currency he spends wisely. This calculated indifference isn't just about protecting himself, it's about maintaining his dignity. He understands that true kindness has value, and like any valuable resource, it must be preserved for those who genuinely appreciate it. Those who take it for granted, or try to use it as leverage, quickly find themselves on the outside of his world, met with silence or polite detachment. But for those who prove their loyalty, honesty, and authenticity, his kindness is profound. He listens with real interest, helps without hesitation, and protects without being asked. His kindness is a reward, a privilege for those who have earned it, not a blanket offering to anyone who asks. By converting kindness into calculated indifference, a Sigma male doesn't become heartless. He becomes selective. He doesn't allow himself to be drained by emotional parasites or used by manipulative actors. Instead, he reserves his energy, time, and support for those who truly deserve it. Those who don't are met with the calm, silent message that he owes them nothing. Number 8. Developing a memory like a guillotine. A Sigma male has a mind like a guillotine, precise, sharp, and unforgiving. But instead of cutting down enemies, it catalogues memories. Every betrayal, every deception, every moment of hidden malice is recorded in cold, silent detail. Yet it isn't just the wrongs he remembers. He also notes the rare moments of loyalty, honesty, and genuine kindness. His memory isn't a prison of grudges, it's a ledger of truth. Unlike most who forgive and forget in the name of peace, a Sigma male sees forgetting as a luxury he can't afford. He understands that the same hand that once shook his in friendship can one day hold a knife. He doesn't waste time on emotional outbursts or dramatic confrontations when wronged. Instead, he silently takes note, observing the exact words used, the expression on the betrayer's face, and the subtle signs he missed. It's all filed away, not for revenge, but for awareness. But this memory isn't just a weapon against enemies, it's also a tool for rewarding loyalty. Those who stand by him in tough times, who remain honest when lying, would be easier, or who offer help without being asked. Their actions are never forgotten. He keeps a silent tally, and when the time comes, they find their loyalty returned 100-fold. While others may wonder why he suddenly goes out of his way to support someone, he knows it is simply a reward paid in full. This silent ledger allows him to navigate relationships with almost mechanical precision. Manipulators are quietly excluded from his life without drama. Fair-weather friends find their calls unanswered. Those who lied to him are met with polite distance, their true nature always remembered, even if never spoken aloud. On the surface, he remains calm, even friendly. But beneath that calm is an iron system of accountability. But his memory is a double-edged sword. While it protects him from being fooled a second time, it also ensures that he never becomes naive again. He trusts, but cautiously. He listens, but skeptically. He may smile, but he never forgets the face of betrayal or the face of true loyalty. In a world where most people have short memories and even shorter loyalties, a Sigma male's memory is his silent weapon, cold, precise, and absolutely unmerciful. Number 9. Transforming trust into a contract. For a Sigma male, trust is not a gift. It's a contract. Unlike most who hand out trust like free samples, hoping for kindness in return, he treats it like a serious agreement with clear terms and severe consequences. You don't earn his trust with charming words, shared experiences, or emotional bonding. You earn it through consistent actions over time, and even then, it is never unconditional. When he trusts someone, it's not because he is naive. It's because he has carefully observed, tested, and evaluated their character. He pays attention to how they treat those who can do nothing for them, how they behave under pressure, and how they speak about others behind their backs. Trust for him is a slow negotiation, one where every action is a clause and every lie is a breach. But this contractual approach also means that when someone betrays him, the fallout is absolute. There are no emotional arguments, no drawn-out explanations, and no desperate attempts to rebuild what's broken. The deal is off, permanently. The person who lied, manipulated, or betrayed may receive polite indifference, but they will never regain their previous place in his life. For a Sigma male, trust is not a rubber band that can stretch, break, and be tied back together. It is a single, unbreakable thread, and once it snaps, it is gone forever. But this ruthless standard isn't just for others, it's for himself as well. He doesn't make promises lightly because he knows that a broken promise is a broken contract. If he says he will be there, he shows up. If he claims loyalty, he stands firm. His word is a bond, but only because he expects the same in return. This transactional view of trust protects him. It means he never invests in those who haven't proven themselves. He avoids the drama of broken friendships and the bitterness of betrayal because he never assumes trust without proof. Those who earn his trust know it is a rare privilege, something to be valued. Those who lose it learn that his forgiveness is a locked door and there is no spare key. For a Sigma male, trust is not an emotional gamble. It is a calculated agreement. And once it is violated, the deal is off forever. Number 10. Becoming an emotional shadow. A Sigma male is a master of blending in without being seen. He isn't invisible, but he is unreadable. In any social situation, whether surrounded by loud personalities or silent observers, he becomes an emotional shadow, present but impossible to decipher. Conversations flow around him, jokes are told, opinions clash, and people reveal their desires, fears, and secrets. Yet he remains an enigma, offering only what he chooses to share. This isn't because he is shy or introverted. It's because he is strategic. He understands that in a world where everyone is desperate to be seen, the true power lies in being unseen. By never fully revealing his thoughts, beliefs, or emotions, he becomes a blank canvas onto which others project their own assumptions. Some see him as calm, others as mysterious, and a few even mistake his silence for agreement. But they are all guessing, and that is his advantage. He speaks just enough to be polite, smiles enough to avoid suspicion, and offers just enough of his opinion to maintain conversation. But his real thoughts remain locked away. When others share their stories, he listens but rarely reciprocates. When someone tries to provoke him, he responds with calm detachment. Gossip flies around him, arguments flare up and die down, but he remains unaffected, a silent observer in a storm of emotions. This ability to become an emotional shadow also means that he is nearly impossible to manipulate. People who try to guilt him, flatter him, or provoke him find themselves struggling to gain any reaction. He is polite without being warm, attentive without being engaged. Even in moments of tension, his expression is a calm mask, his true feelings buried beneath a controlled exterior. But this isn't about deception, it's about control. By refusing to expose his thoughts and emotions, he maintains a powerful advantage. He can watch, learn, and adapt without becoming entangled. He knows who to trust and who to avoid, who is sincere and who is pretending. And while others are busy trying to figure him out, he is busy figuring them out. To those who don't understand him, he is a puzzle, a ghostly presence who seems both there and not there, always watching but never fully seen. And that is exactly how he likes it. Number 11, evolving through brutal self-awareness. A Sigma male doesn't become cold-hearted by pointing fingers or wallowing in victimhood. He doesn't blame the world, curse his enemies, or cling to bitterness. Instead, he turns his gaze inward with brutal honesty. When betrayed, manipulated, or humiliated, his first question is never, "How could they do this?" but rather, "How did I let this happen?" This is not self-blame, it's self-mastery. He understands that while he cannot control the actions of others, he can control his own responses, choices, and vulnerabilities. So he dissects his mistakes without mercy. Was he too trusting? Did he ignore red flags? Was he swayed by flattery, blinded by emotion, or paralyzed by doubt? No comforting lies, no excuses, only raw, unforgiving analysis. But this self-awareness is not an exercise in self-loathing. It is a forge where his weaknesses are burned away. If he was too naive, he becomes observant. If he was too emotional, he becomes calm. If he was too eager to please, he becomes detached. Every flaw he identifies is an opportunity for growth, and every painful memory is a silent mentor, teaching him the hidden language of human behavior. Over time, he develops an almost inhuman ability to see through deception. He reads facial expressions, detects hidden motives, and recognizes manipulation techniques with the precision of a surgeon. Those who once fooled him now become predictable. He can spot a liar by their forced charm, a manipulator by their exaggerated kindness, and an emotional manipulator by their calculated victimhood. This ruthless self-awareness doesn't just make him harder to deceive, it makes him harder to hurt. He no longer gives his trust easily, doesn't offer his loyalty without proof, and never reveals his emotions without purpose. Those who try to use his old weaknesses against him find themselves facing an unbreakable wall. But there is a hidden irony in his evolution. The more he understands his own flaws, the better he understands those of others. He can predict insecurities, expose hypocrisy, and outmaneuver emotional traps with ease. His cold-hearted nature isn't bitterness. It is refined wisdom, paid for in the currency of his own painful mistakes. He didn't become this way because the world is cruel. He became this way because he refused to remain blind to his own imperfections. And in doing so, he transformed weakness into strength and pain into power. Number 12, absorbing pain without expression. A Sigma male understands that in a world full of judgment and opportunism, revealing pain is an invitation for exploitation. So he makes a choice. He doesn't cry, vent, or complain. He doesn't turn his suffering into a public spectacle or search for sympathy. Instead, he absorbs pain like a black hole, silently, completely, and without a trace. But this isn't suppression, it's transformation. Every betrayal, every failure, every heartbreak, they don't break him, they refine him. Where others might drown in self-pity or lash out, he grows quieter, colder, and sharper. Pain for him is not a wound to be nursed, it is raw energy to be redirected. Anger becomes focus. Sadness becomes determination. Disappointment becomes self-discipline. While others waste time explaining their struggles, he is busy turning his suffering into silent progress. This doesn't mean he's numb, he feels everything deeply, but he has trained himself to separate emotion from action. His mind becomes a fortress where pain is locked away, not to be ignored, but to be studied. He asks himself hard questions. Why did this happen? What did I ignore? Where did I go wrong? Each answer becomes a lesson, each wound a blueprint for future caution. His scars aren't badges of honor, they are quiet reminders of his resilience. But his silence is also his shield. Those who wrong him never get the satisfaction of seeing his pain. They are left wondering if they even affected him. Manipulators, liars, and false friends are met with calm indifference because they never see the chaos they cause beneath his still surface. Even in the face of direct insult, he responds with an unreadable expression, his true thoughts buried beneath a calm exterior. To outsiders, he seems unshakable, even emotionless, but in truth, his emotions are a storm he has learned to harness rather than be swept away by. Every pain he absorbs becomes fuel for his growth, every disappointment a stepping stone toward greater self-mastery. In the end, a Sigma male doesn't avoid pain, he absorbs it. And while others are broken by their struggles, he quietly becomes stronger, sharper, and more relentless. A Sigma male doesn't become cold-hearted by chance. He is sculpted into it by a world that mistook his kindness for weakness, his silence for ignorance, and his loyalty for something to exploit. But instead of crumbling under betrayal, manipulation, and disappointment, he evolves. He doesn't wear his scars for sympathy, he hides them beneath a calm, unreadable exterior. Every lesson is absorbed, every deception catalogued, and every emotion refined into a tool. But this transformation isn't a tragedy, it's a triumph. In a society that pressures people to be endlessly open, vulnerable and agreeable, the Sigma male becomes a fortress of calculated indifference, strategic empathy and selective kindness. He isn't bitter, he's just awake. He doesn't stop understanding people, he simply stops being controlled by them. And he doesn't fear loneliness. He masters it, using solitude as a forge to sharpen his mind, strengthen his discipline and refine his purpose. Those who misjudge his quiet nature, mistaking it for weakness, never see the silent calculations behind his calm gaze. Those who attempt to manipulate him find themselves tangled in their own schemes. He doesn't chase after love, approval or attention. He offers his loyalty like a contract, his kindness like a reward, and his trust like a treasure, all reserved for the few who earn them. In the end, the Sigma male doesn't just survive a ruthless world, he conquers it in his own quiet, invisible way. He moves without being noticed, observes without being read, and strikes without being predicted. He is a paradox, emotionally aware yet unshakably detached, compassionate yet calculated, present yet elusive. And as those who try to deceive or control him fade away, he remains colder, sharper and more powerful than ever. If you found this breakdown of the cold-hearted Sigma male both eye-opening and brutally honest, then don't keep it to yourself. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss content that cuts through the noise and tells you the raw, unfiltered truth. Hit the like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and share this video with someone who needs to understand the mind of a Sigma male.